Earlier this week, we commemorated Ash Wednesday. It is one of 2 days each year where Catholics are expected to fast. The other is Good Friday. One author says fasting more often can lead to spiritual and physical rewards. In his book, Eat, Fast, Feast, Jay Richards says, quote, unless you have a medical condition that prevents it, fasting is good for your body, your mind, and your soul. You do not have to take that on faith. You can prove it to yourself in just a few weeks. And Jay Richards joins us now. He is a research assistant professor at the Bush School of Business at the Catholic University of America and also host of A Force for Good right here on EWTN. Jay, welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much. Good to be with you.
Yeah, so let's talk about this book. I know that fasting is really popular now. It's a popular diet trend, but tell us about your book and what you're talking about specifically and how that's different.
Well, I wanted to combine all of the historical and spiritual wisdom of fasting, which is really anchored in the Christian tradition, with all this new scientific evidence for its physical benefits. And that was a sort of surprise to me to discover that there are literally hundreds of scientific articles about the therapeutic benefits of fasting, just at the time, quite frankly, that Catholics have mostly given up, except for maybe residual fasting, a little bit that we still do.
Yeah. What do you mean by fasting, and are there different ways to fast?
There are. And so the primary definition of fasting just means not eating for some amount of time. So I really sort of dig in. I say, look, let's remember that because that was the primary definition. That's what Jesus did for 40 days in the desert. That's what the early church did on Wednesdays and Fridays. And then the secondary definition would be some kind of really strong abstinence, say from an entire type of food for some amount of time, like Christians often do during Lent or Advent. But it's primarily not eating, secondarily strong abstinence from certain kinds of food.
Yeah, and what way is, fasting, is it good for your body and your soul? Because a lot of people think, and we were taught fasting that's not good for you.
No, that's right. In fact, I taught my children this. I learned this in college, that if you don't eat, your body will go into starvation mode, you'll get rid of muscle, you'll store fat. It's actually not true at all. That does happen if you restrict calories for a long period of time, like most traditional diets do. But in fasting, we actually know that when you fast, after about a day, your body actually goes into high gear. It kicks up the hormones that give you energy. It actually kicks up growth hormone, human growth hormone, which preserves your lean muscle mass. It actually does this for about 3 days. It takes 5 days of water-only fasting for your metabolism to get back to normal. So this is why you wouldn't be surprised that there are now physicians that are treating type 2 diabetes and obesity with fasting, not dieting.
Wow, you have a chapter in your book that talks about fasting clearing your mind. Can you explain that?
Well, this is actually how I discovered it. I had, by accident, I had a medical procedure, had to go 36 hours without eating. Thought this is going to be terrible, but I had been actually eating a very low-carb diet, and I decided I'll work out at the end of this and see what happens. And I did. I felt strong, but more than anything, I felt lucid. My mind was utterly clear, and so like anyone, I went to the computer and I Googled, okay, fasting and mental clarity. Well, it turns out there's a known physical effect. When you don't eat for a certain period of time, your body gets rid of all the sugars and carbohydrates it's using, and then your liver starts producing these things called ketones from fat. It's another kind of fuel that your cells can use. Turns out your brain really likes to use ketones, and fasting is really the easiest way to kick that into gear. So I experienced it honestly by accident.
Wow, well, we don't have much time left, but I really want to get this question in. Do you have any advice for people when it comes to fasting, if they're planning on doing it for the first time?
Absolutely. Ease into it. Don't try a 3-day water-only fast. Start by eating ketogenically, a lot of fat and low carbs, and then slowly narrow the time window over the weeks in which you eat from 8 to 4, even to maybe 1 hour during the day, and then you'll be in a position after a few weeks to really try a hardcore fast.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, Jay. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.